What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Skeleton Closet, where we talk celebrity news and hot topics. My name is JT, and today we are talking about our favorite ladies on TheView and how Princess of Arizona was met with a lot of resistance today. So, let's get into the video.
I'm gonna just run down my shout outs.
All right, so on today's episode of The View, the ladies talked about how Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene compares mask mandates to the Holocaust. Okay, yes, the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were murdered in cold blood by Nazi Germany. Yes, she did compare how 6 million people were murdered to people actually putting cloths over their mouths. Yes, I know. It's freaking outrageous. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, it's idiotic. Yes, it is insane. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, we know that is freaking ridiculous. That she would actually say those things, but it's even more ridiculous that the Republican Party seems to have a very strong appetite for Marjorie Taylor Greene's outrageous outburst and outrageous comments that she says constantly. Now, if you all don't remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the same woman that said that Jewish space lasers were the reason for the California wildfires. She also participates in the QAnon conspiracy theory group, and she also has been caught liking comments about putting a bullet in Nancy Pelosi's head. Not only that, she attacked a teenager that was a survivor of a school shooting. There has been extensive reporting on that. There is even video evidence of her harassing and attacking AOC and her staff members on Capitol Hill. Marjorie Taylor Greene is habitual at this type of behavior. This behavior by her is constant. It never stops. It happens again and again and again. Now, in my last video, I made a comment about repeated behavior, and a lot of people tried to correct me on that. You know, we all make mistakes, okay? You all knew what I meant, all right? A lot of people were in the comments talking about, you meant insanity. Yes, I did. I meant insanity, and I appreciate the people that, corrected me politely, but there were some people in the comments that want to be real rude about it, and I just want to ask, the people that were being rude in the comments, if they've ever made a mistake in their life before, because I'm pretty sure you have. Now, moving on from that, I would just like to say that what the Republicans are continuously doing is the definition of insanity. The Republican Party continuously tries to bury or tries to comb over or act like these type of things aren't that big of a deal. And Meghan McCain is seen doing this again on today's episode of The View, and that's why she was met with a lot of resistance from the ladies on the show. Now, the episode starts by Whoopi talking about what Marjorie Taylor Greene has said. She definitely tries to minimize the horror of 6 million Jewish people being murdered to wearing a piece of cloth over your mouth. And Whoopi talks about this. She opens the segment talking about this and how she is very upset. She even says "bih" instead of, what she wanted to actually say. The definition of a female dog. So she was very much on one today. And when the segment started, I already knew that this was going to be something to talk about. After Whoopi gets her 2 cents out and she talks about how idiotic Marjorie Taylor Greene is, it goes on to Joy and she gives her 2 cents. And then it moves on to Sarah, and she gives a summary of the Holocaust and how horrific and how dangerous these type of comments are. It moves on to Sunny, where she talks about how the Republican Party does this time and time again, how the leadership doesn't seem to have an appetite or a willingness to do anything about Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments or actually speaking out publicly about how her comments are wrong. Then it moves on to Meghan McCain, Princess of Arizona, Nutmeg McCain. This isn't a surprise to you all. You all know that Meghan McCain does this time and time again when it comes to criticizing her own Republican Party. So let's just take a look at how she tries to divert the viewers' attentions today on The View.
Well, I mean, I can't stand Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's a crazy person. I've said that over and over again. But she has been stripped of her committees. She has absolutely no legislative power in Congress whatsoever, which juxtaposed when Ilhan Omar said that Jewish people had hypnotized the world and it was all about the Benjamins. She's still on the Foreign Relations Committee, and she's able to dictate our foreign policy in the United States of America. So what do you expect Republicans to do? I think that's taking a lot more action against a crazy person than I would say the Democrats are doing on the left. I'm confused what has risen this to a hot topic this week, because last week, as I brought up on Friday, there's a huge rise in anti-Semitic attacks against Jewish people globally and in our own country. In Los Angeles, a group of pro-Palestine anti-Semites showed up to a sushi restaurant and said who was Jewish here, and then began attacking people at that restaurant. In New York City, as I mentioned on Friday, a Jewish man wearing a kippah was beaten up in Times Square. A pipe bomb was set off in the Jewish Diamond District. In Italy, hundreds of neo-Nazis were marching and giving the Hitler salute. In Toronto, a pro-Palestinian demonstrator lynched an elderly Jewish man and sexually assaulted a Jewish woman. In London, pro-Palestinian demonstrators went down the street and screamed, "Death to Jews, blank their mothers, rape their daughters." This was all happening last week, and I would love if the energy that is being put on one crazy woman in Congress, and by the way, if she is the face of the Republicans, then the squad is the face of the Democrats. I would love Democrats to put that same type of energy onto what's happening on the left, because quite frankly, this is how people get red-pilled. They're red-pilled when they see the blatant bias in the media. It's because the media doesn't want the squad to look bad. They just want Marjorie Taylor to look bad. Anti-Semitism is a huge problem everywhere in this country. When you talk about Holocaust survivors,
yes, it is.
My producer who produces me every day, his grandparents
we're going to break, and when we come
survived
back,
the
you can
Holocaust.
continue
Why are
talking,
you
but
cutting me
now we're
off?
going to break, so we'll be right back. I'm cutting you off because we have to go, Megan.
As you can see, things got a little testy, and to be quite honest, I feel the same way Whoopi does. I'm exhausted. That scoff that she did, I feel the exact same way, because Meghan continuously does this thing about whataboutisms and why is it that people want to criticize members in the Republican Party. There's so much that she said that, one, isn't true, and secondly, it's just infuriating because it's not true. So let's just go. I'm going to try and go through point by point of what she said and how it's just not the case, okay? So first of all, she talks about how she is upset that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said this. She feels like she is a crazy person. That is something that we all agree on. Even Meghan McCain agrees on that part. Where we differ is how we seem to want to deal with the Marjorie Taylor Greene issue. Meghan goes off on all of these anti-Semitic attacks happening all across the world. Yes, we know about these. They talked about them on the show. She mentioned them on the show. There has been several news stories about this on different news outlets. There's several about them on CNN. If she wants to talk about how liberal media or the media doesn't want to cover these type of issues, there has been coverage of them, okay? First and foremost. Then she goes on to talk about how Ilhan Omar made these comments and that nothing happened to her, which is not necessarily the case, because Nancy Pelosi did come out and condemn her comments. She and other Democrats came out and condemned her comments. The difference between what Ilhan Omar did and what Marjorie Taylor Greene continues to do, and why there's such a different amount of outrage, is because what Marjorie Taylor Greene does is habitual. She has done this time and time again. The Republican Party, Kevin McCarthy, Republican leadership doesn't want to say anything about what Marjorie Taylor Greene has done. They just act like it doesn't happen. And to suggest that just because she's not on committees anymore, that she doesn't have any legislative power, is not true as well. She is still a member of the House of Representatives. She's still able to cast votes. She's still able to get on social media and make her presence known. Just because she was stripped of her committee assignments doesn't mean that she has no power or has no effect on legislating at all. That's not the case, and that's not true. And to say that to millions of people on TV, and you as a person that loves to talk about politics, should do better. And then she talks about, again, this blatant bias of how the media wants to paint Republicans and just people on the right so negatively. And that is not true. It's not true that the media doesn't cover what Democrats do or the negative things that Democrats have said and the way that they act as politicians. That's not true. There might be less coverage of it on certain networks. However, across the board, there are a lot of calls for a lot of different things that happen on both sides of the political spectrum. Okay, if there's a Democrat that is doing, let's say for instance, what Matt Gaetz has done, he or she would not still be allowed to be in Congress. He or she would not still be going across the country giving speeches about how they are innocent. They would not be allowed to proclaim their innocence across the country because one, they would be stripped of their committee assignments after they had already found out about him gloating or showing pictures of naked women on the House floor. He or she would have already been stripped of their committee assignments. But not only that, they would have been asked to resign. So the difference between Democrats and Republicans on this specific issue is that they do not want to hold their members accountable. They don't want to tell them that this is wrong. They don't want to tell them that this type of behavior is not the type of behavior that an elected official should be doing. And it's infuriating that Meghan wants to act like there is just this huge bias between Republicans and Democrats when there isn't. There's a huge call for accountability on Republicans to do the right thing. And yes, we know that anti-Semitism is a huge problem in this country and across the world. We know that. That is a fact. That is something that we as Americans and as humans understand, most of us, because there unfortunately are Holocaust deniers. But for the most part, a lot of Americans understand the horrors and the mistreatment of Jews in this country. It's kind of interesting and very convenient for Meghan and the Republican Party to talk about how there's anti-Semitism in the country, yet they don't want to raise as much outrage or as much anger for racism in this country. Yet, if you just compare how angry and how upset Meghan McCain is on this particular issue, she doesn't have this same type of energy for things that happen against gays in this country, trans people in this country, Black and brown people in this country. Yet she has a very, very, very strong sense of urgency to come out and condemn anti-Semitism and things that happen that are very convenient for the Republican Party. I'm glad that Sunny mentions this in her rebuttal of what Meghan McCain says. After becoming a little bit more educated on the subject, I think it is very convenient how Republicans stand with Israel and how it is on brand for them to want to side with the oppressors in this type of situation. You know, because it's very on brand of them to be on the side of the oppressor and the people that are continuously trying to push a genocide on the Palestinian people. So I think it is very convenient and it's very ironic that they, the Republican Party, want to back Israel in this type of situation because, like I said, it is on brand for them and it is on brand for Meghan McCain. Now, not to mention, we talk about how Meghan McCain wants to do this whataboutism. Woe me, I'm being oppressed, I'm being silenced, I'm being censored, and she does it at the end of this segment again. Why are you cutting me off? Meghan, you know why you're getting cut off? Your time is up. Your time is up, sweetie. You see the clock in front of you. I'm pretty sure you have a producer at your home or in the studio, wherever you're filming, telling you to wrap it up because they have to go to commercial. I don't know why she acts like this is her first time on the show or this is her first time being on a talk show where everyone has a set amount of time to talk about things. And as a moderator, Whoopi is supposed to wrap people up and send the show to commercials. It blows my mind that she wants to act like she doesn't know what the F is going on constantly on this show. But again, that is very on brand and it's very convenient for her to act like she's being oppressed and she's being censored as the only conservative woman on mainstream media. Now, things get even more interesting when they come back from commercial break and Whoopi asked Meghan to politely finish what she is saying. And she makes a comparison of how the coverage on how Republicans speak on such topics and how Democrats speak on such topics. And she says that it's even more insidious on the left, yet it doesn't get as much coverage or as much outrage. And I, again, think that that is false. I think that there isn't a need to talk about it as much because for the most part, when a Democrat does something that is inappropriate, rude, disrespectful, racist, or anti-Semitic, it is met with a lot of resistance from people in their own party. And they are met with a lot of pressure to apologize, retract, change what they have said, go on the record, and fix what they have said. And that's why there isn't as much outrage, because there doesn't need to be as much outrage for as long. It's met with a lot of resistance right away, and it is fixed right away. In contrast to what happens in the Republican Party, that doesn't happen. The Republican Party allows for their members to say things that are racist, anti-Semitic, time and time again, and they don't want to do anything about it. So a lot of people are a lot more outraged because it happens time and time again. Now, it pivots to Sunny, and she gives a very, very insightful perspective of how this situation is unfolding and how you should be very careful when you talk about situations like this. Take a look.
Well, I think that when you talk about Israel and Palestine, you really need to be an expert in it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't had a more robust discussion on this show about the conflict going on over in the Middle East, because none of us are Middle East policy experts. And perhaps that's something that we should do. Perhaps we should have experts come on and, educate us and our viewers on it. But I will say this, I think it's very dangerous to use examples of allegedly pro-Palestinian supporters attacking Jews. I think it's criticizing the Israeli government and some of its tactics is not the same as being anti-Semitic. Just as criticizing Donald Trump is not the same as being anti-American. I think that you can't conflate Israeli politics with Judaism and Jewish hate crimes. And in fact, doing so, I believe, is anti-Semitic.
But I wasn't. But what I listed off were hate crimes.
The other thing that I think, let me finish. I think the other thing is that if we are going to compare, and I don't think that I don't think it's fair to compare the left and the right when it comes to this. I also, I don't like whataboutism. But if we are going to compare AOC and, Marjorie Taylor Greene, which people seem to be wanting to do lately, not only on this show, but just all across the country, in terms of Marjorie Taylor Greene's reach, she raised $3 million after she was stripped of her committees. Yet AOC raised a little over $700,000. That makes Marjorie Taylor Greene, in my view, more of a threat because she has massive support in the Republican Party, notwithstanding the fact that she has targeted marginalized communities.
Now, you can see Sunny doesn't mind letting Meghan McCain nutmeg know that nobody on the show is an expert about what's going on in the Middle East, and that includes you. You don't know what's going on. You love to act like you're so smart about what's happening, yet most of the time what you're saying is not true. Most of the time what you're saying is just to gin up people like myself, frankly, to get upset and to correct you because, you know what, you're good for TV and you're good to have on TheView because, daytime TV is all about the drama, frankly, to be completely honest. So that's really all Meghan McCain is there for. Most of the time, she isn't saying things that are actually factual. And in Sunny's comments, she did mention how it is very dangerous to say that pro-Palestinian protesters calling out or speaking on the way that Israel is treating Palestinians is not the same as being anti-Semitic. And it makes sense for her to say this because her comments are very much the same of how police treat Black Lives Matter protesters at the same time at the hand of their oppressors. So it makes sense that Sunny is not going to allow Meghan McCain to act like people that speak out on the way that oppressors treat the oppressed. She's definitely going to call out Meghan McCain's comments of how she tries to insinuate that the oppressed are actually the oppressors. Now, if you all just pay attention to the way that Meghan McCain interjects or interrupts Sunny compared to everyone else, it's not the same. Because frankly, I think Meghan McCain is a tad bit afraid of Sunny because she knows that Sunny is smarter than her. She knows that Sunny is going to come with the facts, and Sunny can go toe-to-toe with Meghan McCain on any day. And again, I agree with Sunny wholeheartedly. You can't say that Marjorie Taylor Greene has no effect or no power in politics or government because she was stripped of her committee assignments. We all know that politics is all about raising money. If you have the influence, you can affect policy. It doesn't matter whether or not you are on a committee or not. That, frankly, doesn't really have much of an effect. You can still vote, you can still make policy changes, and you can still lobby votes in Congress. So I don't know why Meghan act like this is her first day learning about American government, but sweetie, sis, nutmeg, princess of Arizona, get a grip. And after Sunny continues throughout the segment, it moves to Meghan because she wants to go back and forth about what she listed about the hate crimes going on across the world. And this is where the show gets even more interesting because Meghan McCain says that she wishes that people on the show or people in the media or we as in Americans would have the same energy when it comes to anti-Semitic hate crimes. Whoopi says that we bring the same energy to all hate crimes, which I agree, they all do, except for Meghan McCain. And it's very hypocritical of her to insinuate that we, as in the media, don't talk about hate crimes or anti-Semitic hate crimes as much as we do other hate crimes. I would actually love to see her give this type of energy when another black man or another black woman is shot down in the street.
That's a hate crime. And I just wish we could bring that same energy towards hate crimes directed towards Jewish people, as we do with every other minority, which we should.
We bring
media.
dislike for all hate crimes.
I resent that.
We just do. And
I resent that remark.
when you say, which one?
I resent a lot of things, so we're even.
That we don't bring energy. I mean, I've been talking about anti-Semitism on this show for 25 freaking years. Don't tell me what I'm supposed to be saying, Meghan, okay? You do your thing, we do ours.
You're supposed to say. I know, I'm well aware we do separate things on the show, Joy, okay? And I know you've been here 25 years, I've been here 4.
That's right. That's right. Should have some respect for that. Once in a blue moon.
And Joy gets upset by her saying this or making that remark because how dare you? How dare you say that we don't talk about or we don't have the same energy when it comes to anti-Semitic hate crimes when, frankly, I've been here for 25 years and baby girl, you just got here for like 4 years ago and you want to tell me that I'm not doing my job right and I'm not speaking out against hate crimes across the country when you just got here. You don't even know what you're talking about. It's basically what Joy is saying, and she's very, very upset. And literally just watching that segment and looking at the other ladies' faces, like looking at Sunny's face and Sarah's face was hilarious because those are my exact reactions. Sunny is sitting there like, yeah, get a girl. And Sarah is looking like, oh my God, the girls are fighting. And rightfully so, because how dare you try and call out these other women on the show, how they act or how they react to hate crimes when you don't react the same way. There isn't the same type of energy when it comes to other hate crimes. You don't give the same type of energy when other hate crimes happen. So how dare you speak out and say that they don't do the same thing that you like? It's so hypocritical, but again, very on brand for the Republican Party. And today's show of The View was very entertaining. Again, that is exactly why Meghan McCain is there, to make the show more entertaining. And so we can have something to talk about and we can chat it up. I want you guys to let me know down in the comment section below, what do you think about Meghan McCain's comments today on The View? Do you think that she's right? Do you think that the other ladies of The View don't give the same energy when it comes to other hate crimes across the world or in the United States? Do you think that Marjorie Taylor Greene should apologize for her comments? And do you think that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ilhan Omar's comments are kind of the same? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, because I definitely love reading you guys' comments and chatting with you guys down in the comment section. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button so that I can know how you felt about today's video, but also so that you can help me get it pushed through in the algorithm a little bit. Definitely appreciate that. As well, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can join us in the closet and become part of the family. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.